Play badly. We don't have any motivation today. I don't understand what's happened. Very disaster. It's disappointed completely. The key players who come out for nothing. All the plans are down. Very difficult. But these boys, I can't understand them. Today you are good, tomorrow you are bad. I don't understand what happened. But today is very bad game. I don't have anything to say. Very bad game. But
your expression,
you take a chance. We played 90 minutes without any shoot on the goalkeeper. Any shoot, one shoot. No. I'm not happy. To be serious, I'm not happy.
I remember one in Kazan. We went to Kazan in the Champions League, and in that match I had all my strikers injured. No Milito, no Eto'o. I was really in trouble, and Mario was the only one. Mario gets a yellow card in minute 42, 43. So when I go to the dressing room at halftime, I spend, I would say, 14 minutes of the 15. I was spending 14 minutes speaking only for Mario. Mario, I cannot change you. I cannot make a change. I don't have a striker on the bench. Don't touch anybody. Play only with the ball. When we lose the ball, no reaction. If somebody provocates you, no reaction. If the referee makes a mistake, no reaction. Mario, please. Minute 46.
No way.
Red card.
No way.
But here comes the great man, Usain Bolt, charging down the straight as best they can. The other men are trying to follow him. Mullings and Spearman. Spearman finishing fast. Wins, and Bolt has smashed his own world record. Just as he did in Beijing, he gets world records in both the 100 meters and the 200 meters. It was 1930 in Beijing. It's 1920 here.
We dared to dream, and he has provided an epic moment once again here in Berlin. This man is just out of this world.
Novak Djokovic, a Grand Slam champion again. Novak Djokovic, his third major title of this season. His fourth U.S. Open. 24 and counting. 24 and he still wants more.
I haven't even read them because they keep on coming. They keep on coming. I think that I have to turn one of the phone off.
You haven't read any of them? Messages of support?
No, not at all, not at all. Look, they still calling. They still calling. Phones are calling. So that shows how joy people are in our country.
Like I said before, McGuigan is good, and he's a fighter. And the way McGuigan fight, there's no way McGuigan can beat me. There's no way McGuigan can go 4 rounds with me because of my power. I got my power, I got experience, I got everything too much more than McGuigan. And I want him, that girl, I call her girl because she don't want to fight me. She's scared of me. She know whom I am and what I can do. I know the trainers. These trainers don't want to fight me. And I took the title from a young man. And any old man who wants to challenge me, hey, I'm gonna kill him. Oh, man, I'm too bad, baby.
Good morning and welcome to ZFM Z101.9 FM. My name is Raymond Yamado and I bring you the weekend sports rally right here on ZFM. We promise to bring you nothing but the best in sports. We bring you the best reviews, the best previews, and of course, we make sure we bring you all the topical stories making the headlines in the world of sports. We bring you fantastic analysis and a super discussion on all the topical issues making the headlines in the world of sports right here on the Weekend Sports Rally. A lot has happened in the world of sports this week, and of course, a lot has happened in the Euros. A lot has happened in Wimbledon. We'll bring you updates on all of that, and also we'll make sure we get into a bit of the discussion on the Ghana Premier League. Yes, the Ghana Premier League, because fallout from the just ended 2023-2024 Ghana Premier League has said that some interesting revelations have been made. Now, the just ended Ghana Premier League season served football lovers a bit of everything. From the super story of Samatex 1996 winning the Ghana Premier League after 2 seasons in the top flight, Accra Hearts of Oak securing their Premier League status on the final day of the season, Big Boys, Accra Great Olympics getting relegated from the top flight for the first time since 2017, to the controversy of Real Tamale United forfeiting their final match of the season after fielding unregistered players in the penultimate game of the season. Final day of the season results were easily predictable prior to kickoff because of the huge implications some unfavorable results would have on the status of some clubs. Dubious refereeing decisions on match day only fueled the perception that some results from the just ended league raised concerns about the integrity of the league. Today, we delve into all the issues surrounding the credibility and integrity of our local league and seek to find out how proactive the Ghana Football Association has been with regard to dealing with all the issues that undermine the integrity of our local leagues. And away from that, we head straight to Germany and check out what's happening in the Euros. It's the 17th edition of the UEFA European Championship happening in Germany. And yesterday, there was heartbreak for German fans after a 119th minute Mikel Merino goal secured qualification for Spain as they kicked out the hosts from the competition. This would be the first time the hosts have been eliminated at the quarter-final stage of the European Championship. The Diamond Shaft would now have to continue to wait for their first European title and the 28th. Now, we also witnessed one interesting game yesterday between Portugal, France, and yesterday, Rafael Leao was the man who missed the spot kick to ensure that France won that game by 5 goals to 4, on penalty shootouts. And that was another interesting game. After 90 minutes of pulsating football action, the game ended barren. And after 120 minutes of exciting football, no team was able to find the back of the net. France would progress to the semi-finals of this year's competition via spot kicks. And France are already there in the semi-finals of the competition. Today, we are expecting 2 big games. And away from Germany, we'll head straight to the All England Lawn Tennis and Crochet Club, Church Road, Wimbledon, London, SW today against Elina Svitolina. All of that will be happening at the Wimbledon Championship later today. Coco Gauff has also reached the 4th round of this year's competition, and there are a lot more players also in the round of 16. Madison Keys, Emma Navarro, all progressing to the round of 16. A lot is expected from Wimbledon today, and we'll make sure we bring you a quick discussion on all of that on the weekend sports rally right here on Z101.9 FM. And there's still a lot more to come on the show this morning as the British Grand Prix happening tomorrow at the Silverstone Circuit. The 52-lap iconic Silverstone Circuit would play host to race number 12 in this year's Formula One season. Momentum is with Mercedes and their British drivers after their fine performance in Austria last weekend. It's a home race for George Russell and Lewis Hamilton. Can they carry momentum into this particular race and ensure that they secure another win for Team Mercedes? And also Max Verstappen and Team Red Bull would have a lot to say about that as well. We'll bring you a quick preview on that on today's edition of the show. Of course, this show is interactive. You can join us with your thoughts on the discussions we'll be having this morning on WhatsApp line 0544 321019. 0544 321019. And later on in the show, we'll open the phone lines for you to join us with your thoughts on the discussions we'll be having on the show this morning. Good time to get into the discussion. Good time to introduce my guests to you. And I have three gentlemen seated right in front of me. Three gentlemen. And I'll quickly introduce them to you. This is the maiden edition of the weekend sports rally coming to you live on Z101.9 FM. We bring you nothing but the best in sports. And my guest to do the business with me this morning, I have Eddie Akins joining me. Eddie Akins, good morning and welcome to ZFM.
Good morning, Raymond. Good to be here. Good to be at this rally that doesn't have colors. We're in a season of rallies, so it's good to be at this rally.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great.
Absolutely. Lukman Evergreen Movement is with Z Sports. Lukman, once again, welcome.
Thank you very much. I mean, I'm not a new voice on this station anymore. Yes, I've been doing the morning sports show, but then it's actually good to have some time to do some discussion, to talk a lot more about sports. And so it's nice to be here on a Saturday morning.
And I have one enterprising young man, they call him the Sports Zlatan, Jonathan Bizua, also joining me on the show this morning. Jonathan, how are you this morning?
Very strong, stronger and kicking as we are here. As you know, the sports rally here on Z, which is the weekend rally. New wave, and I was very happy when you said the maiden edition. People are actually going to enjoy it, analysis and, in-depth ones from sports people and major discussions around the sports activities over the weekend.
Well, let me quickly come to you, Lukman. I know a lot has happened in the world of sports over the last few hours, and bring us up to speed with what's been happening in the world of sports.
Well, I mean, like you said, a lot has been happening, especially in Germany and then the United States of America. But then we'll be beginning in the European Championship, where matches were played yesterday. In fact, there were games in the quarterfinals of the competition already. We have only 6 teams now left for the competition. 2 left yesterday, Portugal and then Germany. In fact, Germany will be staying home, but then not in the competition anymore. They lost to Spain by 2-1 in that quarterfinal fixture yesterday. Dani Olmo, who came on in the first half to replace Pedri, he scored the opening goal for Spain, and then Florian Wirtz scored in the final minutes of regulation time to force the game into extra time, where Moreno scored the winner to send Spain into the semi-final of the competition. Elsewhere, Cristiano Ronaldo's last dance with Portugal at the European Championship came to a crashing end against France. They lost on penalties to the French national team. João Felix, who came on in the second half, he missed his spot kick, and so Portugal are also out of the competition. So it's left with France and then Spain, as well as the 4 teams that will be playing today. The games will continue, of course, today with England facing Switzerland in the quarterfinals. The next game will be between the Netherlands and then Turkey. And so the winners of these games will stay in the competition. In fact, the first semi-final will be between Spain and then France, with the other one being between the winners of the game between England and then Switzerland, as well as the Netherlands and Turkey. Now, away from the European Championship, we move straight into the Copa America. It's been interesting as well in the Copa America. Yes, Lionel Messi missed a penalty over the week, but then he was lucky because they have Emi Martinez, who saved a couple of spot kicks as Argentina scaled through to the semifinals of the Copa America after defeating Ecuador on penalties. That game ended 1-1 in full time, but then on penalties, Argentina were able to go through. Yesterday, Canada also defeated Venezuela, also on penalties, and that game ended 4-3 on penalties, with the Canadians also going through. Interestingly, Canada will be facing Argentina, the team that they faced in the opening game of the Copa America. The games will continue today with Panama will be facing Colombia, while Brazil also takes on Uruguay on Sunday. And so the winners of this game will face each other in the semi-final. So it could be Colombia versus Brazil, it could be Uruguay versus Panama. But then, like I said, tonight Panama will face Colombia, with Brazil also taking on Uruguay on Sunday. Well, to Wimbledon, and defending champion Carlos Alcaraz avoided a surprise exit at Wimbledon by holding off American Francis Tiafoe in a 5-set thriller. Now, the Spaniard won an intense match 5-7, 6-2, 4-6, 7-2, 7-2, 6-2 to progress in the championship. Yes, Alcaraz is the defending champion, and he could go on to win the competition. Elsewhere, world number 1 Jannik Sinner is also through to the last 16 after an emphatic 6-1, 6-4, 6-2 win over Miomir Kecmanovic. And so that is it with the men's category. And in the women's category, Emma Raducanu made a strong statement of intent by dismantling 9th seed Maria Sakkari to reach the Wimbledon 4th round. And next for Raducanu is 123rd ranked Lulu San, a qualifier from New Zealand. So yes, it's been interesting in the tennis championship as well. Well, we all know that Andy Murray is actually beating tennis fair well, but then he also won his game, that is in the mixed doubles with Emma Raducanu. They went on to win their game against they won their game, and then they will now be facing China's Zhang Su and then El Salvador's Marcelo Arevalo. So that is it with the mixed doubles. Now let's look at some transfer news. In fact, it's getting interesting with regards to which players are making the move during the summer transfer window. We've heard of news linking Mohamed Kudus to Al Ittihad. Whether he will be going or he will be staying, we live to see that one. But then he's not the only one that has been linked with moves to Saudi Arabia. We have Manchester United midfielder, that is Bruno Fernandes. He's been given the permission to open talks with Saudi Arabian club. Yes. So, Bruno Fernandes could be going through Al Ittihad in the Saudi League. He's not. Well, it looks like Manchester United wants him to leave because in all this, we've not heard from the camp of Bruno Fernandes. But then all we know is that Bruno Fernandes has been linked with a move away from Manchester United, and it could be Saudi Arabia. Now, Manchester City midfielder Kevin De Bruyne has verbally agreed to join Saudi Arabian side Al Ittihad, and is now up for the Premier League champions to approve the departure of the Belgian. I mean, Kevin De Bruyne has won everything with Manchester City, the Champions League, the FA Cup, the Carling Cup, as well as the Premier League. And so it makes sense that they would want to move on without him. Liverpool are hoping Egypt forward Mohamed Salah will sign a new contract when his current deal expires in 2025. And Aston Villa midfielder Felipe Coutinho will return to boyhood club Vasco da Gama imminently after lengthy negotiations over whether the 32-year-old Brazilian's contract will be terminated. And Arsenal have agreed contract terms for Italy and Bologna defender Riccardo Calafiori until 2029, but the clubs still need to agree for a fee for the 22-year-old. Well, Calafiori had a very, very good championship at the Euro competition, so a lot of teams are
scoring an own goal.
Well, they missed him in that round of 16 game anyway. So, yes, Arsenal are looking at adding someone to their defenders, that is William Saliba and Gabriel. Now, Arsenal, Tottenham and Chelsea are among the clubs interested in Southampton's 14-year-old England under-15 international, Harley James. So, yes, now 14-year-olds are also seriously on the market. Chelsea have agreed a €40 million deal to sign Portugal under-20 defender Renato Vega from Basel. So that is it with regards to the transfers that are currently happening in Europe. Well, there are some Ghanaian players that have also made moves across the week. Lawrence Ejekum, he moved from Red Bull Salzburg to Cercle Bruges. And then, yes, this is an update with regards to some of the players that are moving. Baba Idrisu also made a permanent switch to UD Almeria. And then we also have players that are being linked away from their current clubs. And so we'll be looking forward to Ghanaian players also making moves. One thing I can confirm here also is that our winger Abdul Fattah Ishaku, he is currently arrived in England. There is still talks with his signing for Leicester City. The thing about it is that Leicester City have a financial regulation problem that they have to deal with. That is why they had to sell Dewsbury Hall to Chelsea so that they can make money and then sign Abdul Fattah Ishaku. So Fattah Ishaku is definitely joining Leicester City on a permanent deal this summer.
Well, that's interesting news from players' camp, but we'll see how things go. Earlier this week, I think there was a story about Erik ten Hag. For Manchester United fans out there, I'm sure they'll be interested in what's happening with Erik ten Hag.
Yeah, so Erik ten Hag has actually signed a contract extension with Manchester United. He's going to be staying at the club for a few more years. You know, there were issues with regards to his future, but then at the end of the day, Manchester United and then the manager have agreed a new contract. And then finally, to the people that will be representing us at the Olympic Games. Unfortunately, we wouldn't be participating in any form of football, which is the biggest sport here. But then we have Abdul Rashid Saminu. He will be competing in the 100 and then 200 meter race at the Olympics for Ghana. Benjamin Azamati will also partake in the 100 meters and then 4x100 meters. Unfortunately for John Paul Amwa, he couldn't make the 200 meter race, but then he will be there to participate in the 4x100 meter race. And then Isaac Boche will also be participating in the 4x100. Fuseni Ibrahim also in the 4x100, and then Edwin Gadai also in the 4x100 meter race. Now away from the track, we go to the pool, and then in swimming we have Josel Mensah, Harry Stacy. These are the guys that will be representing us in swimming. And then finally Rose Yeboah would also be representing us in high jump. It's not yet over for the athletes. There are some that could be qualifying in the coming days, but then for now we only have 9 athletes qualifying for Paris 2024.
Well, good time to bring in Eddie Akins. And I think that, look, man, let's stay a bit with the Olympic story, because the window for qualifiers was shut on 30th June.
Yeah.
And so these are the confirmed athletes from Ghana that will be representing the nation at the Paris Championship. Now, if you look at the participants Ghana have presented over the years, one thing has been clear. We've seen a lot of boxers in there. And if you look at Ghana's medal haul from the Olympics, we've picked as many as 4 medals from boxing, the last medal from football. Eddie, we saw a lot of boxers during the African Games win medals. How come we've not been able to produce boxers that were able to qualify for the Olympics? Is it not shocking?
Not entirely shocking, Raymond. When the bar is raised, you need to also meet the standard. And yes, Africa was on its different level, but then if you want to qualify for the Olympics, you need to have some different inputs. You need to prepare differently. There was one route via the Thailand route for our boxers. There were 51 places up for grabs through that route, and shockingly, not even one boxer could make that route, could make it to the Olympics from that route. That instantly tells you the state of boxing in the country. How are we developing them? What are the facilities? Even administratively, what are we doing? I think what the Africa Games did for us was to expose some of the lapses that we had, and to bring it into sharp focus so that we can, concentrate and right those wrongs. It's not surprising that our boxers could not make it. I think that we were ill-prepared, ill-developed, and really when the standards are raised, we struggle to meet those standards.
Well, interestingly, Ghana has only ever won 5 medals at the Olympics: 4 bronze, 1 silver. And in 72, we won bronze. We won silver in boxing. In 64, Eddie Blay also won bronze in boxing. In 1960, we won. Okay, it was in 1960 we won silver. So in 72, we won bronze. And in Tokyo 2020, Samuel Techi managed to secure another bronze medal for us in boxing. And so a lot of Ghanaian boxers have graced the Olympics for us, but it's absolutely shocking. And look, man, for a nation that has a boxing emporium in what you would call the Mecca of boxing, Bukum, it's hard to see a list of Ghanaian participants at the Olympics without a boxer.
Yeah, I mean, it's really shocking to actually come to this point in time with regards to the Olympics, because usually when we go to the Olympics, we have more boxers than any other discipline at the championship. But then this time around, we are still yet to get a boxer to the competition. Like you said, I mean, they used the Thailand route. Unfortunately, it didn't work. There was also the Italian route, which also didn't work for Ghana. It tells you that there's been a sharp decline with regards to boxing. I mean, and it's very telling, not just in terms of Olympics, but even with regards to professional boxing. It's been a while that we've heard that there is a serious boxer from Ghana actually participating for a title out there. The last time we heard of one was Richard Oblite Komi, but then even himself, we've seen how his career has went down the drain. And so, yes, it's quite worrying, especially with the fact that there's been a boxing emporium that has been built for us to be able to unearth more talents. I mean, back in the day when we didn't really have these things, we were producing some serious boxers. So how is it that we have these things now and then can produce boxers for the Olympics? I mean, the last time around when we went there, we were actually lucky to have won a medal because at one stage for Richard Techi, his opponent actually bowed out, so he didn't fight the first round. He actually started the competition from the second round, and so that is how come he went through to be able to get the medal. I'm not taking away anything from him, but then it tells you that the kind of boxers that we are producing now do not match up to the standards. I mean, we went to Senegal to try and then get some of our boxers qualify through that route too. Unfortunately, all our boxers that went to Senegal were beaten, and so
including the celebrity boxer.
Freezing McBones. I mean, and we saw his post-match interview, and he was even crying. But then, yes, that is it. So, with the quality of boxers that we are producing now is worrying because. When it comes to boxing, especially on this continent, it's actually Ghana that produces some of the finest. But then now you can see that the Egyptians, the Tunisians, they are now competing with us. Even the Senegalese are now getting better boxers than us. And so there is something that we have to do. I mean, you were talking about the All-African Games exposing us. I feel like it actually came to blind us a little bit, because we were sweeping the medals. In fact, let me use this one. We were sweeping Entebbe medals, thinking that we serious. We weren't really, because the All African Games didn't get the creme de la creme of boxing over there. Most of the guys who were supposed to participate at the Olympic Games had already qualified, while the others that didn't even come were focusing on better competition to qualify for the championship. So for me, it's not surprising because, like I said, we've been experiencing a very huge decline in terms of boxing. But then we keep on sitting here thinking that, when we go to Bukum, every Tom, Dick, and Harry can become a boxer. That's not how it works. You have to get the facilities. You have to pick the right talents and then nurture them for us to be able to go there and then, actually win something.
But just to add to what Lukman is saying, I think it's sad that you can only talk of one national boxing emporium. Right. It's a reflection of what is happening. So what is the template for developing talent across the country? Do we have regional, boxing centers, regional boxing facilities that can go across the country or that are dotted all over the country to try and train talent, identify talent, and develop them for the world stage? I think that it tells the kind of priorities we have when it comes to sports, because it seems that there's a lot of attention on football, and that attention on boxing is gradually even waning. So then there are no world champions in a long time, which was not the case previously, because there was some focus on boxing. But then why should a whole country, the country that produced Azuma Nelson, have just one boxing emporium? Well, what's the plan? Eddie, what's the GBA doing about it?
Eddie, we'll do a full inquest into Ghana's failure to qualify any boxer to the Olympics in the next few days. You can trust us on the Z Weekend Sport Rally. We'll rally all the officials in here and we'll make sure they give us answers as to why no boxer was able to qualify for the Paris Olympics. And let me inform you, that the competition would start in July, on the 26th of July, and will end on August 11. There are Ghanaian athletes in there, so we'll make sure we bring you up to speed with everything you need to know about the Paris 2024 Olympic Games as far as Ghana is concerned. This is Z101.9 FM, and this is the Weekend Sports Rally with me, Raymond Nyamado, Lukman Evergreen Moomin, Eddie Akins, and Jonathan Binzwa are here to help me do the discussion. You can join us with your thoughts on the show, on the discussion so far, on 0544 321019. 0544 321019. This is the Weekend Sports Rally. And this is Z101.9 FM. You're live and you're listening to the Weekend Sports Rally with me, Raymond Nyamado. And good time to continue the discussion here on the show. And earlier this week, I think on Thursday, in South Africa, something interesting happened in there. It was the draw for Morocco 2025, the qualifiers, and we actually saw some interesting draws in there. And let me quickly bring you up to speed with what happened there. 48 nations will vie for 24 places to contest in the 35th edition of Africa's most prestigious competition, the TotalEnergies Africa Cup of Nations. The competition is slated for Morocco in December 2025 and would end in January 2026. And the draw was held in Johannesburg, South Africa on Thursday. Ghana and the Black Stars of Ghana have been drawn in Group F together with Sudan, Angola, and Niger. Good time to get into the discussion on this one as well. And let me start with you, Eddie Akins. I mean, interesting draw, familiar foes in there. There's a bit of a subplot when it comes to Sudan and the presence of James Kwesi Appiah. But on paper, it looks like the Black Stars should easily qualify for this tournament. On paper, lately the Black Stars have disappointed, and less fancy teams have actually had a go at the Black Stars. You can talk about the Comoros of this world. You can talk about Cape Verde, even Sudan at some point have had some joy. So the Black Stars team is in some sort of a transition. Okay, so you cannot really say for sure which of the Black Stars, or which Black Stars will turn up for the qualifiers. Yes, history has it that we have qualified for almost every AFCON tournament, and really that should be backing us. But if you look at current performance, both individually and collectively, you can tell that those teams in the group might fancy their chances against the Black Stars on the evidence of what has happened in recent tournaments, in recent qualifiers, in recent games, and the fact that they know that the Black Stars are not home and dry. The Black Stars are in some sort of a transition. The Black Stars have a new technical team who are settling in. You would want to think that those teams in the group would want to look at it and think that it is a good time to give the Black Stars a problem. The Black Stars would need to have a different attitude and a different mentality to these qualifiers. They don't need to underrate any of the teams in the group. We need to be strong at home, the Black Stars. They need to make sure that they are picking maximum points on the road, because on the African terrain, almost every team is strong in their own backyard. So you make sure that at home you pick up all the points. And
not underrate your opponents. I think that attitude, really, that mindset must be, must hit home very well from the technical team. And there must be clarity of tactics, clarity of technique, clarity of message for the boys to go out there and deliver. I think that winning the 2 games in the World Cup qualifiers
against Mali and Central Africa Republic.
Yes, albeit in quite underwhelming circumstances, because the first halves of those games really were not so great. The second halves were okay.
The coach says 3 points matters.
Great, but then you can't consistently underperform and expect the results to go your way. That must be fixed. The Black Stars must hit the ground running in games. They must start the games properly to give themselves a chance of qualifying for the AFCON. It is not done and dusted. It is not cast in stone. The Black Stars would have to work for their qualification.
Well, good time to bring Jonathan into the discussion. But Coach Otuado, coach of the side, has been speaking about the draw. And he says it's a tough test for Ghana as we seek to qualify for Morocco 2025. He says he believes they can qualify, but they would face some very, very, very difficult teams. He spoke about Sudan and how well they've been doing under Coach Kwesi Appiah. He also spoke about Niger not faring too well in the qualifiers as far as the World Cup is concerned and in their last few games. But he says there are no easy teams in Africa. There are no minnows when it comes to football in Africa these days. So he's adapting the cautious approach to speaking about these qualifiers. But Jonathan, your thoughts on the draw and what you expect from Coach Otuado and his boys. Can we easily qualify, or it's going to be that qualifier where we see you see Ghanaians pulling out the calculators, pulling out the pens? Just 2 teams from a group of 4. It should be easy for Ghana.
No, I already have my calculator prepared right from Akiola. Because I actually emphasized that the moment your coach starts telling you that we are in a rebuilding process, we are yet to rebuild. And they are trying to let us know that from Coach Desmond Ofai from the ranks, we are now implementing what we call the agro football. Lately, the Black Stars, we've seen their performance in the first half against CAR, Central African Republic, and also Mali. We are going to face a coach, Kwesi Appiah, who led the same Black Stars to 2019 AFCON. Kwesi Appiah is an insider. And I remember far away in 2019, our first AFCON game, Kwesi Appiah press conference, he said that he is the one who is actually trying to play agro football with the Black Stars. He is trying to implement a tactical shift with the players that we have. Pick it from there. He's going to face a coach who came in to win his first 2 matches, and all of a sudden, Ghanaians, we feel like we are now safe. The Black Stars is on. People are getting their passports ready. They think going to USA 2026 World Cup is just easy. But we are here. We all saw the performance we pulled out far away in Mali. We all saw who came in to make the changes. Thankfully, Otuado was a bit proactive in our last endings in the 2 games that we just played. But this is the question that Kwesi Appiah was an insider. As we speak, the current player, the talisman, that all our legends are calling for Coach Otuado to make him, the focal point in our team, was actually brought to the Black Stars, his first debut call-up in the Black Stars by Coach Kwesi Appiah. So nobody knows Kudus Mohamed than Kwesi Appiah. He knows him very well. So far, I can say on fact that Kwesi Appiah actually have the Black Stars, our team with our coach, profile in his palm. He knows what he has to do. And one funny thing here is that Ghanaians, we feel happy. Naturally, because we are Ghanaians, emotional, we are attached, we want to see the team success. We want to see the Black Stars go forward. But we have to understand that in football, it is not what you feel. In football, it is the one who is working. And we are going to face a coach who, as we speak, knows the whole players in the Sudanese league. As we speak, being the head coach of Sudan, in a group of the Teranga Lions of Senegal, with all their Lucises being over there like their mothers and fathers over all these years, Kwesi Appiah of Sudan is on top. We shouldn't forget that they are not even playing their home matches at Sudan. They are playing in Bako Stadium in South Sudan. So, playing in Sudan alone, we have players who come in this country and tell us that the weather here is no good for training. When we were preparing for AFCON in Ivory Coast, they went to Dr. Kwame Chase Sports Complex. They were complaining about how our venue is, how our training pitches are. If you go to Sudan and you are going to train, climate change, you've changed your environment. And this is a Black Stars, as we speak, our players who play their trade in Europe. And now coach is telling us that he's trying to infuse the young guys with the old players. Who are the old players? Who? Is it the Dida Ayus? Yesterday I saw a post on Twitter. There's still party. As we speak, the Thomas Tay party that we want him to be, I mean, the main man of the team, to lead the team in terms of organizational role on the pitch, be the leader on the pitch. A lot of people believe he feels uncomfortable if there's Dida Ayus around. Hope you get me. So the Black Stars, we are all hoping that at least we are going to hit the right track. But as we speak, if you check the Sudanese team, they are left back. So far, we don't have any better left back in this country. With all our population in Ghana, we don't have. We can't compare Gideon Mensah to Samet, who plays for Al Hilal Omdurman. None of our left back is ready and fit to play. We saw those lapses from him. And I agree with what Fatah Dauda said, that the Black Stars, we still have, I mean, more room for improvement. There's a lot of work to do to see the Black Stars perform. As we speak, we don't even know our first goalkeeper.
But Jonathan, okay, so you've spoken about Sudan. So let's say the coach goes into the qualifiers with a plan. Let me beat Angola home and away, beat Niger home and away, and I'm through to the tournament. I mean,
we are still going to use our calculators because Sudan, they are not going to also, I mean, play loose football. They are ready to qualify. And we've seen their performance lately in the World Cup qualification phase. They are on top of their group. We're a group of Senegal. And you check how they are playing. So far in all of their games, they are expected SG 0.2. At least they have to get a goal. At least. Meanwhile, we are playing, and every time it's as if the Black Stars, we expect miracle. What we want to see from Kudus, what he's doing far away in Europe, we are not seeing even a gist of it in the Black Stars.
Jonathan, let me stay with you a bit. Wouldn't you give Otuado and his men some credit?
Otuado?
No, prior to our game against Mali, the Black Stars could barely win games. But Otuado picked that team, and a team that was conceding goals late on in games, now suddenly managed to secure a win in the dynamics of a game. Wouldn't you credit Otuado for bringing some change to the team and how they play?
I was actually disappointed in the Malians. Do you know why they sacked Eric Shell? Eric Shell was not sacked because of the poor performance against the Black Stars alone. Before the game against the Black Stars and Coach Otuado, in their dressing room, there's fire over there. He was not able to manage the guys. The likes of Nene and their defenders, they were fighting, and the coach actually stood with one player. So even from the Malian FA, they were ready to sack him. And psychologically, it was clearly inconspicuous to the point of the Black Stars actually got the Malians on the side that they were not psychologically prepared. We went over there. We didn't play any better football far away in Mali.
You credit the coach.
Crediting the coach will come in. At least, this is a coach, even after winning the game, is telling us that he is still, rebuilding. He don't even know his first 11. You were here when he told us when, he brought about the group, the players for the qualifiers. He told us that they are players who he wants to bring in, but they are not willing to play. He mentioned Baba Rahman. So as we speak, Baba Rahman is not willing to play for Coach Otuado. And Coach Otuado is still on him, pursuing this guy, that guy should come back because he's not seeing any better left back. So the Gideon Mensah you saw, Otuado said it at a press conference that he prefers Baba Rahman. Baba Rahman actually adds a lot of more push and variational display to the Black Star squad than our current left back that we saw. So there are still issues around the Black Stars. So me, as we speak, I see the Black Stars going ahead with Sudan in the African Cup qualifier for Morocco 2025. It's a 50-50 thing, but Coach Kwasi Appiah actually have a slight edge above Coach Otuado. That's why Otuado is still cautious and telling Ghanaians that we have to, drop our leg off the accelerator. We shouldn't be happy thinking that Niger, Sudan, and Angola is a done deal for us. We are going to Morocco.
And that's Jonathan Binzua. You can join Jonathan Binzua on Z Sports on the Drive, 5:15 to 5:30 every weekday. And he has a lot of fire. Eddie, I know you disagree with him, but we'll get into a bit of that. But we'll have to get into a bit of Formula One discussion. When we come back from that Formula One discussion, definitely we would get into a bit more on the Black Stars, because there's another issue of James Kwesi Appiah his role as coach of Sudan and his role on the executive council of the Ghana Football Association. These are conversations that have come up after the draw. But Lukman.
Yeah. So just to round it up on what Jonathan said, I mean, he says he wouldn't be crediting Otto Addo for those wins. This week, I saw something on the internet, and it's quite laughable. According to the Ghana Football Association president, the reason why we won our games against Mali and the Central African Republic is because of 5 Stars energy drink. Because 5 Star energy drink. Oh, you didn't see that? I will look for the voice and then play it for you guys. But then that is what the Football Federation president is saying. But then just on the issue of us qualifying or not qualifying, I think if you look at our last qualification to the Africa Cup of Nations, we actually had to wait until the final day to qualify for the competition. That is when we defeated the Central African Republic by 2-1 in Kumasi, with the CAR coach cursing us that this will be our final AFCON and then whatsoever. He was very furious because of the officiating. We've not really had it that easy qualifying for the competition. I remember we won 3 of our games and then drew 3 of those games to be able to qualify for the competition. That group also had Angola. We drew against Angola at their home. Even with that one, that the equalizer came in the final minutes. That is when Osman Bukari came on and then did his things, and then we were able to pick a draw against Angola. We also played against the Central African Republic, beat them here in Kumasi, but then went to draw against them in Luanda because they had to play in a makeshift home. And then we also faced there's Madagascar in that qualifier. So it's not been easy for us. And if you look at it, ever since the Africa Cup of Nations was expanded to 24 teams, we've not had it easy. From 2029 to 2023, we've all seen the performances of the Black Stars. We've not won a game since 2019. Yeah, we've not won a game since 2019. And so it tells you that there is a lot of work that has to be done. For Otto Addo, he knows what he has to do. But then, of course, I have to credit him for those back-to-back wins, because if you look at his timing, his second coming, and then the some of the decisions that he's been able to take, and then the kind of players he's brought on board, I feel like we have to give him some of the credit for what he's been able to do, because even tactically, you look at some of his changes in those games, and I feel like with time, he will definitely get to, make a better team out of what we have. Because when it comes to the talent, I feel we have a lot of talent around that we can build a team that can go out there and compete. But then at that the level we are expecting the team, there is a huge gap that would have to close to be able to go back to the Africa Cup of Nations and then win something. But for qualifying, I'm very, very confident that we'll qualify.
Well, Eddie, your quick thoughts on the Black Stars group, if we can make it out of this group comfortably.
Okay, so I think all the parts must come together, and I think we are looking at just one part, which is the on-field part. Now, football matches are won at the boardroom before they even get to the pitch. What am I saying? That the FA has a massive role to play if the Black Stars are to qualify out of this group. What is the schedule for the players? What is the preparation going to be like? Because in matches of this nature, you need to prepare your team extremely well. What are the disciplinary issues around the team? How are they going to sort those issues out? Because if we don't win in the boardroom, it will be difficult for us to win on the pitch. And it seems everyone is talking about Otto Addo and his tactics and everything, and forgetting that Otto Addo needs some level of support from the FA. He needs some level of planning from the FA. What have we seen in the past? We've seen poor planning. We've seen support that has been lacking. Is that going to continue? If that continues, it complicates the whole journey for the Black Stars. And so I think in as much as we are talking about what is happening on the pitch, we must make sure that all the parts come together and make sure that the FA plays its role very, very, very well. make sure that the FA understands that it is not a foregone conclusion that the Black Stars are going to steamroll all the teams there and
with 5-star energy drink. You go through.
So it brings into sharp focus. You see, what's the mindset at the FA? What's the plan for the qualifiers? What are we doing? But I think just a word on Jonathan. Jonathan says
Jonathan is not optimistic.
No. I think he's made some very good points. He says Kwesi Appiah knows the Black Stars. I think there is another side to that. The Black Stars know Kwesi Appiah very well. They know his philosophy very well. He's handled the team. They know what he's been able to achieve with the team. They know what he's doing with the Sudanese team. Okay? And so it's one thing having the profile and another thing using the profile very well. So you can have the profile but interpret the profile in a wrong manner. I do not think that if the Black Stars tick all the boxes right, I don't think Sudan stands a chance. But it is true that the Black Stars are in a rebuilding phase. They're in a transitional phase. And this is where the FA must communicate well with the general public. I'm talking about moving parts, and I really also want to include the fans, because we need to be a part of this whole campaign. And it is the FA that is going to bring everyone on board. They're talking bring back the love.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of moving parts to this. But then what we're saying here is that let's not take this for granted. There is no Mino in football. The African terrain is a difficult terrain. We have a lot of players who did not even develop on this continent. How are they going to handle the cultural differences, the differences in terrain? These things must be considered for a very smooth campaign.
Well, a lot to expect as far as the qualifiers is concerned. We'll be getting to a bit of that when the qualifiers begin, but we'll still have a bit to say about the Black Stars, James Kwesi Appiah, and that particular qualifying group, because there's a little matter of Kwesi Appiah and the roles he currently occupies. We'll get into that right after our discussion on the British Grand Prix, and we would quickly have to get into the discussion on the British Grand Prix. I have Kwabena Poku, who is the head of Motorsports Federation Ghana, who will be joining us via Zoom. So quickly.
Once again, this time it's the outside line. Oh, they made contact. He's got a puncher. He's damaged his front wing. The leading contenders for the World Championship come together at turn 3. The crowd can't believe it. Verstappen and Norris come together chasing the lead.
Incredible. Norris has got a puncture as well, has he? Or is he just going around Verstappen, who's crawling? Verstappen's going to tumble all the way down. I think Norris is struggling.
Lando Norris was dreaming of a second Grand Prix victory. He is out of the race, having made contact with Max Verstappen. The man who led the first lap in Canada, the first lap in Spain, will lead the last lap in Austria. And for just the second time in Formula One, the British driver will see the flag first, and George Russell wins an amazing Austrian Grand Prix. Mercedes win a Grand Prix for the first time since 2022.
And that was George Russell winning the Austrian Grand Prix. And I have Kwabena Poku, is the head Motorsport Federation of Ghana. He'll be joining me via Zoom as we get into the discussion around the British Grand Prix. Kwabena, if you can hear me. Good afternoon to you, and welcome to Z Sports.
It's just gone. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Kwabena can hear you. Good afternoon to you, and welcome to the weekend sports rally on Z 101.9.
Thank you.
Well, let's quickly get into the discussion. After benefiting from the late clash between Lando Norris and Max Verstappen, clearly the two protagonists in this season's Drivers' Championship, Mercedes, seem to have turned the corner after winning their first Grand Prix since November 2022. Would you agree with me if I say Mercedes have finally turned the corner and the momentum is with them? And what should we expect from Team Mercedes in this weekend's race? Hello, Kwabena. I think I'm losing Kwabena at the moment, but we're just trying to get into a bit of the discussion around the British Grand Prix, and Team Mercedes in Austria were able to win their first race since November 2022. Yeah, Kwabena, you can go ahead.
Guy called me this morning that he's having a show on ZFM, so.
Yeah.
Victor, I can barely hear you.
Kwabena, can you hear me now? I think we have a bit of a technical challenge, but you're live on Z101.9 FM. This is the Weekend Sports Rally, and we're just trying to get into a bit of discussion around Formula One. My guest is still on the line, Kwabena Poku. He is the head of Motorsport Federation Ghana, and we are trying to get into what to expect as far as the British Grand Prix is concerned. Kwabena, if you can hear me, can you go ahead? Okay, I think I'm not getting Kwabena at the moment, but this is the Weekend Sports Rally on Z101.9. And you're live on the Weekend Sports Rally on Z101.9 FM. My name is Raymond Yamado. We are taking a peek into the weekend sports in action. There's still a lot to talk about in the Euro 2024 Championship, as well as the Copa America. Argentina are already in the semi-finals of this year's competition. Brazil and Uruguay have it all to do tonight. Uruguay have been tipped to end their 14-year wait for a Copa America title. Can Brazil stand in their way? Brazil have been underwhelming in the tournament so far, but can they turn on the style when they face Uruguay this weekend? And also, there are big games coming up in the European Championships. England will play Switzerland, and also we have Netherlands coming up against Turkey. Ahead of that game, Jude Bellingham has been given a one-match suspended sentence. Only Eddie Akins and Jonathan understand what that means. And Demiral, who plays for Turkey, has been given a 2-match ban. And so he's going to miss this particular game. Turkey are going to play against Netherlands. The president of Turkey, Erdogan, is not happy. The coach, Montella, is certainly not happy. Everybody in Turkey is upset by the decision of UEFA. We'll get into a bit of that discussion as well on the Weekend Sports Rally. The Formula One discussion we may have to shelve for now because we are having a bit of a challenge connecting to our Formula One expert. But let me say a big thank you to Kwabena Poku, Head Motorsport Federation of Ghana, for trying to join us via Zoom on the show this afternoon. I'm sure hopefully in the next few weeks we'll definitely get him on the line to give us some updates on Formula One. But by way of updates, the British Grand Prix would be happening. The main race will be happening tomorrow at 2 p.m. at the Silverstone circuit Practice 3 is currently ongoing, and the qualifiers for the race for who would start from pole position would start at 2 p.m. As things stands on the leaderboard now, Max Verstappen, Team Red Bull, he has opened an 81-point lead at the summit of the leaderboard. He leads Lando Norris by 81 points. So Max Verstappen has 237 points. Lando Norris of Team McLaren has 156. Charles Leclerc of Ferrari has 150 points. You have Carlos Sainz, also of Ferrari, with 135 points. Red Bull, Sergio Perez has 118 points in there. And if you're looking for the two Mercedes drivers, they are way off their pace. George Russell, 7th position, 85. And you have Lewis Hamilton, 8th position with 41 points. And we'll see how things pan out this weekend at the Silverstone circuit. It's a home race for Lando Norris. It's a home race for Lewis Hamilton. It's a home race for George Russell. And already in practice 1, practice 2, the man Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, all of McLaren, have laid down the marker. They actually topped the timesheets in practice 1 and practice 2. So it promises to be an exciting race this weekend. We'll see which of the drivers would finish first on the podium as far as the Silverstone circuit and the British Grand Prix is concerned. It's race number 12 of the Formula 1 season, and it promises to be exciting. Time check, some 8 minutes past midday, and we are live on 101.9 FM ZFM. We're getting, up to speed. We're bringing you up to speed with what to expect in sports this weekend, and also we're doing a quick review on what happened in the course of the week, and we'll be having our main discussion on the just ended 2023-2024 Ghana Premier League season. We're asking a very simple question on today's show. We're asking if the Ghana Football Association has been proactive with dealing with issues concerning or issues that undermine the integrity of our local leagues. And just a few days ago, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, former GFA president and also a board member of Accra Folk, threatened, to expose corruption in our game. We'll get into a bit of discussion on that, but let's stay with the topic of the Black Stars and the qualifiers for Morocco 2025 AFCON. And there was a little matter, or there was a little case of James Kwesi Appiah. Now, James Kwesi Appiah won an election to be on the Ghana Football Association Executive Council as an EXCO member. Now, James Kwesi Appiah was nominated onto the EXCO, or was nominated for that competition by virtue of the fact that he was a club administrator for Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Months on, James Kwesi Appiah assumed the role as the head coach of the Sudanese national team. Now, following the Black Stars being drawn against Sudan, Angola, and of course Niger in the AFCON qualifiers, a lot of Ghanaians, a lot of football pundits, a lot of concerned Ghanaians, a lot of football administrators have raised concern about the role James Kwesi Appiah would be playing on the Executive Council when the technical handler of the Black Stars, Otto Addo, presents his squad and his strategy for the qualifiers in the presence of EXCO member James Kwesi Appiah. Would he really be in those meetings? Is he supposed to be in those meetings? What happens to James Kwesi Appiah as far as occupying those dual roles is concerned? Eddie Akins would help me break this down a bit. But Eddie, quickly, a lot of people have spoken about conflict of interest. Others have also raised concerns about, the impropriety of it, the moral issues, and the ethical issues concerned. As far as James Kwesi Appiah occupying those dual roles are concerned. What's your take on this matter? Would you support calls for James Kwesi Appiah to be sacked from the EXCO or to resign from the EXCO, or you would say he won an election to represent a club on the Premier League board as an EXCO member, so really he should stay?
So I'll take you to Article 37 of the GFA statutes. Okay, Article 37, Clause 7, and it reads, a position will be considered vacant in case of death, resignation, or if said member is incapable of discharging the functions of his office by reason of infirmity of mind or body as certified by a certified medical practitioner, or if he absents himself from 3 consecutive meetings of the Executive Council.
Which one of them would actually hit Kwesi Appiah?
So the question, what the FA should be telling us is, 1, has Kwesi Appiah missed 3 consecutive meetings since his election into office? That's one ground.
Right.
Now, this clause says that in case of resignation, the position will be declared vacant. This puts the burden on Kwesi Appiah, I think. Okay? Because there's a certain level to which the FA can push because he's an elected member. Now, they can only impress on him to resign. But that action must be admitted by Kwesi Appiah himself. If Kwesi Appiah deems it not necessary to resign, no one has a case against him. So, Kwesi Appiah has or is the deciding factor in all of this. Right? Because that clause is not directly under the control of the FA. It puts a lot in the control of the individuals. Article 37, Clause 7 says that. So for me, in this case, Kwesi Appiah must do the honorable. He must do the honorable by resigning because he is an elected member.
But Eddie, not to cut you, but what's all the fuss about? James Kwesi Appiah is coach of Sudan, yes. If James Kwesi Appiah doesn't attend EXCO meetings, big deal? No. Kwesi Appiah doesn't get to know what Otto Addo has to discuss with the executive committee. Should this be an issue? Should issues of conflict of interest be raised in this matter when the man is even domiciled in Sudan?
Yes, so these issues are very genuine issues, okay? Because here's a man occupying 2 very sensitive, conflicting roles. He's a member of the country's executive council, and he's the coach of another club. And unfortunately for both sides, both have been drawn in the same AFCON group. Right? So it raises huge issues of conflict of interest. People could perceive conflict of interest. It could be apparent, it could be actual. But those concerns raised are for me, are real. Because he cannot occupy both roles. And like I've read to you, it is under his control because he's an elected member. To say, I am the coach of Sudan, this might conflict with my role as an EXCO member, so I want to resign.
Fair enough.
The onus is on him
Fair enough.
to resign. because and I think that it brings also into focus the fact that there must be some amendments to the statutes, because I don't think that the framers of the statutes anticipated this.
Yeah, they didn't see this coming.
Because for me, if you ask me, there's no way an active coach, if you understand how football works, there's no way an active coach must be part of the executive council.
Well, he presented himself to football people. Football people felt, well, James Akwesi Appiah is experienced. They voted for him to become a member representing the Premier League on the EXCO.
But he was nominated
by Kumasi Asante Kotoko.
So, do they have a role to play in all this?
Absolutely.
These are the fundamental questions. So, if he was nominated by some club, what is the club doing about this? Because what's he doing staying on as EXCO member? Is he attending meetings?
I get you, Eddie, but the difficulty here is that, Lukman and Jonathan, I'll bring you into the conversation. The difficulty here is that James Kwesi Appiah was elected onto the EXCO by football people or the Premier League clubs. Okay, now if Kwesi Appiah would have to be taken out of the EXCO, it would have to take the highest decision-making body of the GFA, which is Congress, to make that amendment. So under the circumstance, I can agree with Eddie when he says it boils down to James Kwesi Appiah taking a personal decision to resign from the EXCO. But the question I would ask you, Lukman, is, does it really affect anything the GFA does? If a coach is not domiciled here and doesn't even attend technical meetings or doesn't attend EXCO meetings, does it really change anything? Does it affect anything as far as the conversation about Ghana, Sudan is concerned?
Yeah, it does. It does a lot. The thing is that he has to be at the meetings. According to the rules of the EXCO, you cannot miss up to 3 executive committee meetings. That tells you how important the EXCO is to the Ghana Football Association.
But Lukman, not to cut you, has there ever been a situation in Ghana football, or as far as the running of Ghana football is concerned, where an EXCO member has not been present and he's been sacked or removed because of absence from EXCO meetings?
Well, I'm yet to hear of anything like that.
Very well. If my memory serves me right, former Western Regional Football Association chairman, Kojo Yanka, that's the name, Kojo Yanka. Yes, Kojo Yanka was EXCO member living in the United States of America. The FA found nothing wrong with it. There was absolutely nothing done for him to actually leave that office. He was an EXCO member. And so we cannot use that same measure to say, okay, fine, because Appiah hasn't been to EXCO meeting, so let's take him out.
Well, so that tells you that the people who even enacted the rules are not even abiding by the same rules and regulations, which is a huge problem. For me, like I was saying, it is important for Kwesi Appiah to be at EXCO meetings. First of all, you look at the fact that so it tells you that our football people are actually confused people, in quotes, I'll put it that way. Because what was the message that Kwesi Appiah sold to them that they voted him into power as an EXCO member? I know very well that he wasn't a coach when he applied or when he was campaigning to get into the EXCO of the Ghana Football Association. He was part of the IMC of Kumasi Asante Kotoko. But then it boils down, what was the message? What did he tell them to the extent that they voted him onto the EXCO for him to represent Kumasi Asante Kotoko? That itself is a huge question. And then apart from that, going forward, he went on to take the Sudan job. You look at it from this point. He's the coach of Sudan. He's an IMC member of Kumasi Asante Kotoko, and he's also part of the executive committee of the Ghana Football Association. Only one person. Yes, I understand. He can. I mean, if he can deal with it separately because of the way the shadows are, that is fine. But then this is where the conflict of interest issue comes in. You would have to deal with the coach of the Ghana, the Black Stars, that is Otuado, with regards to his selection and everything.
That is if he decides to be present in any of those
He
meetings?
has to be present because you can't miss up to 3 meetings unless they are telling us that they are not following the rules. He has to be present, and it's very, very important. When you look at the current ESCO, the current executive committee, he's one of the few people with technical brains. That is why when we were going to look for a coach, people were suggesting that why do you have Kwesi Appiah on the executive committee, and then you tell us that people like Makado.
He was the coach of Sudan.
So you see why it is a huge problem. So again, that is where we have to deal with that. This is where we have to deal with this issue and deal with it once and for all. So for me, again, like I was saying, the Black Stars coach would have to meet the ESCO anytime he wants to make his selection, anytime he's about to release a squad. In fact, before and after matches, he also has to present a technical report to the executive committee. Kwesi Appiah is one of the few technical men on the executive committee, and he has to be there. So not just what he is presented. Now Kwesi Appiah knows everything about the Black Stars from a technical point of view, and he is that same man coaching Sudan. And he would be having technical meeting with the ESCO of the Sudanese Football Association. So what does it mean? He's getting information here and there, and then he's putting them together. So for me, first of all, I thought he should have resigned long time ago. The moment he became an ESCO member, and then that job came, he had to resign. But then I was listening to Henry Asante Chum somewhere else, and then he was saying that it has to do with issue of governance, and they would look at the laws very, very well. They would consult FIFA to be able to make a decision. There is no need for consult.
I'm sure he was just trying to make excuses because
there is no need.
FIFA cannot take a decision.
Exactly.
They cannot advise on what to do.
That's exactly the point I'm coming to.
The laws are quite clear.
Yes. So the thing is, I still don't understand why we are still at this particular. The moment the draw was made, at the moment we found out Kwesi Appiah is the coach of Sudan, that should have been it. He has to vacate that position for us to get a new person as quick as possible. Because look, when the AFCON qualifiers begin, it will be coming back to back to back. Every single month we might be playing 1 or 2 international games. And in this situation, you have this issue to deal with. And so for me, it is a no-starter. I feel like the FA should have understood this. You cannot be an ESCO member and then be a coach of... You see, and you see the irony here. When there has to be a solution to all this, there was a way the draw actually pitted us against Sudan. Yeah, this is football for you. So you see, it has to be dealt with as early as possible.
So on the issue of is he attending meeting? No, first and foremost, we must establish that as a member of the ESCO, you've got duties and functions. And holding these 2 roles could affect the discharge of your duties as the ESCO member. Even before we go into what impact it's going to have on conflict of interest or whatever. Now, I'll take you to Article 40 of the statutes. Article 40 is decisions. Now, Clause 3 says any member of the Executive Council must withdraw from the debate and from taking a decision if there is any risk or possibility of a conflict of interest. Should I read it again?
And I can confidently tell you that James Kwesi Appiah, ever since he became coach of the Sudan national team, has stayed clear of any start decisions concerning the Black Stars.
I think the only document that can totally convince us
is the minutes of
the meetings. That is where we can find out if what you're saying is actually true.
Eddie Higgins.
Where are the meeting minutes? For those who are saying that he hasn't, attended the meeting. No, we don't need word of mouth. Where are the minutes of the meeting to show that Kwesi Appiah was not present? It doesn't matter whether it is physical or virtual. Lately, we have, virtual meetings that are official.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. And even virtual meetings have minutes. So where are the minutes? Because clause 3 says any member of the ESCO must withdraw from the debate and from taking a decision if there is any risk or possibility of conflict of interest.
And Kwesi Appiah has done that in recent times. So, I mean, but let me put on record that we tried to get the Ghana Football Association to speak on this matter. And unfortunately, their communicators, for one reason or the other, declined to speak at this moment. And so we tried to reach them for their side of things, you know, to pick their thoughts on this particular development. And I'm sure in due course, the FA would issue a statement on this particular development.
I just think Kwesi Appiah must settle this matter.
Let me give Jonathan 2 minutes on this matter because he's been itching to talk. Jonathan, this whole Kwesi Appiah, ESCO member, coach of the Sudan national team, you know, discussion that's going on. We're talking about conflict of interest. We are talking about he accepting the fact that he shouldn't be an ESCO member and possibly doing the honorable thing by resigning. What's your take on all of this?
First, I want every Ghanaian to know that most often so far under this GFA, we've set up the Black Stars for ridicule, and it's affecting the football in Ghana generally. We were here when we gave our coaching job to Otuado. A lot of Ghanaians said, no, this man, we know that he's actually have a technical role at Borussia Dortmund. So he can't have, these two big responsibilities at hand. Prioritize one and move with one. And me as a Ghanaian, I am not a German. I am not an insider in FC Borussia Dortmund. So as a Ghanaian, I'll boldly defend my country and the GFA that it was our responsibility to let the man know that you can't be working there and be working here. We take hours, we give our coaching job to one person who is going to be focused on the job. We are back here again today. Having someone who is an IMC member at Kumasi Asante Kotoko, that's one major role for him to play. And also, ESCO member, you know, the 12-member committee for the GFA, one of their biggest roles, their prime one to do, is to actually make sure and facilitate, just as you said, they play, a significant role in facilitating the Black Stars qualification to the World Cup in 2026 and also the AFCON in 2025 Morocco. So if you are a member of this 12th committee, you are a member, it's actually your duty. You are not supposed to miss meetings. You are supposed to be there. Just as Lukman said, tactically and technically, he's that guy. He's a coach. He knows much more about the other 11 people on the board. So as a national team, as we speak, as the GFA, and this coach has actually bring back some love in Sudan. They actually love him. Their sports minister said something that we are ready to keep him. 3 years contract. Even leading the group stage at this point in the World Cup qualification. If they don't qualify for the World Cup, they are happy. They will keep Kwesi Appiah. And the Sudanese, we shouldn't forget that overall Sudan had to wait for 32 years after qualifying for the 1976 AFCON. In 2008, they came back for the AFCON. So as we speak, they just want to qualify for the AFCON. So if you are a coach and they want you to stay and you've agreed a 3-year contract with them, as we speak, we Ghanaians, we don't have to wait for the coach to give us alternatives. I'll come for meetings, I'll make some. We are here with a big nation. Ghana, with all our football history, we are calculating minutes that someone who is a coach against a standing block in our way to AFCON 2025. We are calculating minutes that he has to come for meetings via Zoom or whatever. At this point, it is our football governing body that has to, stamp their feet on this matter that, Kwesi Appiah, actually, you are a man of this land. We can't tell you that you've been sacked. Mutual agreement, Kwesi Appiah is dropped.
They can't sack him.
That's the point. That's why I'm saying that at this point, as a football country, Ghana, you check our history and everything. As we speak, we are like Lesotho, because if we can't take bold decisions enough, we are waiting for the coach to rather give us alternatives, to rather tell us that please, me resign because I'm a coach somewhere. It is our job. At this minute, our football governing people, they have to show authority that if you enter Sudan, Mr. Ray, today, they will not acknowledge you as who you are, because you know why? You are a Ghanaian. As we speak, there's a tussle ahead of us that we'll be playing against them. So there's that friction. So if I see on a national newspaper that there's a friction, there's tension in the boardroom concerning Kwesi Appiah's future, I feel very sad, because this issue, from the first day that the draw was dropped in Johannesburg, less than 1 hour, can say our football governing body make it clear that Baba, if you are standing in our way, because we have to come back to this thing that Kwesi Appiah will be giving technical reports of Black Stars our games to this GFA, and he is the same person we will be facing against Sudan. So I'm trying to tell me that he's going to write 2 reports. He will report 1 to Sudan and also write 1 to Ghana. It is not going to work. So at this point, we have to prioritize our football. That Kwesi Appiah, we like you. We can't let it be like we've sacked you. No. At this point, mutual agreement. Bro, no, that's how we sack coaches far away in Europe. Mutual agreement.
But you see, what Jonathan is losing sight of is the fact that coaches are appointed. They are not elected.
Yes. Yeah.
You just let me make a point. So you can sack who you appoint.
Right.
Who is elected, you can only impress on the person.
There are processes.
Yes, so there's a cycle.
Absolutely.
There's a tenure of office. Yeah. And that's why it behoves on the individual. Yeah. And I know Kwesi Appiah upholds a lot of morals. So where are his morals?
You are listening to Z1. You are live on Z101.9 FM. We are live on Z101.9 FM. The conversation is getting heated in the studio. This is the weekend sports rally with me, Raymond Nyamado. And let me give my guest a breather. There's still a lot to discuss on the show this afternoon. And we'll get into the Euro 2024 Championship as well as the Copa America currently happening in the United States of America. CONMEBOL and CONCACAF came together to put out a fantastic performance or a fantastic tournament inside the United States of America. We'll be getting into a bit of discussion on that as well. And let me remind you, if you're joining us and you want to share your thoughts with us, it's 0544 321019. 0544 321019. Share your thoughts with us via WhatsApp, and we'll be glad to share your messages with the rest of the world. But time check, some 34 minutes to the top of the hour, and you're live on Z101.9 FM. My name is Raymond Nyamado, and this is the maiden edition of the Weekend Sports Rally. We promise to bring you nothing but the best in sports every Saturday. Just tune in at 11 o'clock and make sure you are served with some exciting sports content. You can also join my colleague Lukman Evergreen Moomin on the morning show at 6:50 every weekday as he joins Mr. Ham on the breakfast show. Jonathan Binzua also joins you at 5:15 with some exciting sports on the drive. So we have you covered when it comes to sports content on Z101.9 FM. And you are live on Z101.9 FM. This is the Weekend Sports Rally with me, Raymond Nyamado. And we'll quickly get into a bit of discussion on the Copa America tournament currently happening in the United States of America. And there's a big game coming up tonight. Uruguay would play Brazil. Brazil have been underwhelming in the tournament so far. They finished second in their group and would have to face Uruguay, who finished top of their group, winning all 3 matches at the competition. Uruguay have been tipped as favorites to win this particular competition. Let me get into a bit of discussion around that. And Jonathan, let's quickly get into the Copa America. Bring us up to speed with what's happening and the games to look forward to tonight, and what could possibly happen in that game between Uruguay and Brazil. There's quite a bit of tension in that game. What should we expect in that tough game between Uruguay and Brazil?
So the Uruguayans will be playing against the Brazilians, the Samba boys. Even before the tournament, Ronaldinho came out to say that there's no passion in what they play. They actually play football for what they earn far away in Europe. Coming back home, it's like the Brazilian flu, what we love from Brazilians. We want to see them flamboyantly on the wings, with Ronaldinho giving you that skill set. But as we speak, they are playing football under a coach, Junior Dorovan. I mean, that big game against Uruguay, you check the quality of the Uruguayans, and you see that clearly Brazil, they are supposed to be the favorites based on the players. Because if you have Alisson Becker in your goal post, Wendell as your left back, Marquinhos is still intact, the core of the team. If Bruno Guimaraes is in, the only problem for you to solve is to, bring the best out of them. And also, as we speak, because of the ban and the investigation issue about Lucas Paqueta, psychologically, the guy is not fit to play. But every day he's in their lineup. And me, I'm very happy that in their last game that they played against Colombia, that draw game, a penalty came up and Lucas Paqueta went for the ball to take it. The fans in the stadium were just insulting their own Lucas Paqueta. They were not even happy that Paqueta was going for the kick. Vinicius Jr. had to come in the situation to just tell the fans that, calm, we should just allow our brother to take the kick before he went for it. So psychologically, if I am Junior Dorovan, I'll pick Paqueta and just bench him in a big game against Uruguay. Because the only key thing you have to stop playing against Uruguay is not about the Valverdes in the midfield. Marcelo Bielsa has shown it upon, since time immemorial, that he's one coach who believes in players, fullbacks, who are playmakers. We saw him what he did with Luke Ayling at Leeds United when they bounced back from the championship, coming back to the Premier League. Marcelo Bielsa proved to the whole English Premier League that he's the only coach who is using a natural right back. Not even what Trent Alexander-Arnold will be doing going up front. Not even what Kyle Walker will be doing. This is Marcelo Bielsa. So this is a coach. He knows everything. He has seen it all, coaching Athletic Bilbao. So facing against Junior Dorovan of Brazil, you can mention the big names in the Brazilian national team, but in football, upon all your quality and talent, it boils down to, do you have a tactical handler? Do you have a coach who knows all the variational tactics? A coach who will give you preferential tactics into the game, and in the game, in case there's any emergency or misfortune, the coach can actually twist the system to still get results. No! You can't boast of Junior Dorovan that is going to be that tactically good over Marcelo Bielsa, one of the greatest coaches, I would say. Because if Bielsa has been able to get the best out of Darwin Núñez, as we speak for the Uruguay national team, in each of their games, it is either he's on a score sheet with an assist or a goal. But we don't see the same of this player when he comes back to Europe playing for Liverpool. So this tells you that the environment is conducive for the Brazilians to actually lose against the Uruguayans. And the Uruguayans, I take them as favorite going into this quarter-final game against Brazil. So to me, Marcelo Bielsa tactically will be ahead of Junior Dorovan. Already the Brazilians, they are playing with fears in their heart that even back home, people are expecting them to fail. Because the Brazilian team that we saw so far for some 4 years now, they've just been total disappointment. You look at the far end and you see the Celeste under Lionel Scaloni qualifying to the quarter-final after winning on penalties. The day was saved by Aston Villa goalkeeper Emiliano Martinez, not Lionel Andre Messi. So we all have to agree that the Messi that we saw in 2022 Qatar plays in environments that he feels good. Because Messi went for a penalty kick in a crucial time with a Panenka. In his career, Messi would never do that in a crucial game. Confidence. And even before the penalty kick, they were ready and they thought that they are going to win. And truly, Emiliano Martinez, we all know the guy, his exploit. So far, facing 25 penalty kicks as an Argentine goalkeeper, he has saved 12. 50% of the penalties, you can't cross the line if Emiliano Martinez is in there. Fantastic on any day. And this is a coach, Scaloni actually uses variational tactics. You can check his team from Qatar World Cup 2022, and you check when they won the Copa America and the Finalissima. All these matches, they've played over 40 games. The coach has managed, to use over 39 starting lineups. So in the Copa America, we've seen Enzo Fernandez being benched for Giovanni Lo Celso to start. Then you see Enzo Fernandez coming up because we've seen Fernandez dip in form at Chelsea as we speak. This is a coach who is learning on the job, and he's ready and improving everything. And if we give the likes of Fabian Di Maria the chance on the wings, they are going to come back at you. So the Canadians qualifying on penalties, I think this midnight, beating Venezuela, they are very good. Alistair Johnson, their right back, being used under JC Matt, one of the fine coaches you see far away in Canada. I think their semi-final game against the Argentines, I'll still see the Argentines as favorites because they have a solid defense line. Jonathan
Bizua giving us a bit of updates on the Copa America tournament. And look, man, just quick thoughts. Brazil, Uruguay, and Argentina qualifying to the semi-finals. They will be coming up against Canada. And there's one last game coming up tonight. That'll be Panama coming up against Colombia. Quick thoughts on those games and what to expect as far as the semi-finals is concerned.
Well, on a lighter note, a Brazilian team with players that don't have O at the end of their names is not a Brazilian
Ronaldo.
team. Yeah, Rivaldo, Bebeto. Right. These were the names that really made Brazilian football, Brazil football. Unfortunately,
now
these days you have
Vinicius.
Paqueta, Guimarães, Rafinha. And you see the interesting bit is that when the Rivaldos, the Ronaldos, the Ronaldinos were playing, they were playing for big clubs, and I mean big clubs. You have Ronaldinho playing for Barcelona, Ronaldo, Real Madrid. Rivaldo, Barcelona, big name players. Now you have Paqueta, West Ham, Bruno Guimarães, Newcastle United. You have Pereira playing for Fulham. This is definitely not Brazil, and so yes, it's not surprising that we've seen them churn out these results. In their group, they only managed 5 points out of 3 games. That is underwhelming for Brazil. Now they come up against a team that has been doing very, very well. The last time Argentina lost a game, it was against Uruguay, and so that should tell you how good the Uruguayan team is. The only time they lost a game in the last few years was against African champions Ivory Coast, and so yes, they have a very, very good squad. I thought it would be very, very difficult for Brazil to break that team. They are playing flamboyant football. The team that has scored the most goals at the Copa America defeated Bolivia 5-0, won their first game against Panama by 3-1, and then their last game against the United States by 1-0. 9 goals in 3 games, conceded only 1. You look at Brazil, on the other hand, they are struggling to score. Even though they won that game against Paraguay by 4-1, you look at their first game against Costa Rica, it was 0-0. Their final game in their group against Colombia, 1-1. So they've really struggled to win games or even convince their fans. And so coming up in this game, I feel like Uruguay have the edge and then confidence going into this one. With the other game, which is against Colombia, which is between Colombia and then Panama. And Colombia are favorites, looking at the squad that they have, looking at the players, the experience of players like James Rodriguez and then the rest. There is also Liverpool's Diaz also in there. A very good squad. They are playing very, very well. They actually topped the group that had Brazil in it. And so, yes, against Panama, Panama have done very, very well to reach this stage. But then against Colombia, it is going to be a story or a tale of favorites and then minnows. And so I feel Colombia might go through. They wouldn't have to struggle against Panama.
And Uruguay have been tipped to end their 13-year wait for a Copa America title. And they will be hoping to hit the ground running in the business end of the competition by defeating Brazil to progress to the semi-finals of the competition. We'll see how things pan out in that particular competition, and we'll keep you in the loop as far as the results are concerned. But let's quickly shift focus to the European Championship. It's the 17th edition of the UEFA European Championship. It's entered the quarterfinal stage and the semi-final stage as well. You have Switzerland coming up against England today at 4 p.m. and the Netherlands would play against Turkey tonight at 7 p.m. Already qualified to the next stage of the competition is France and Spain, La Fiera Roja. And yesterday, listening to Luis de la Fuente, he says the Spanish team is a winning horse and the players are insatiable and they look the part in this tournament. Spain look like they can't be stopped. Look, man.
Yeah, I mean, they've been playing very, very well from the first game against Croatia to yesterday's game against Germany. I mean, yesterday proved how tactical and how good they are as a team. I mean, you look at the fact that the moment he took off Lamine Yamal and then Nicolas Williams, the tactics of the team changed totally. I mean, it went from playing the flanks football to dominating or playing the possessive football, which really didn't work because Florian Wirtz has to score in that final minutes to push the game into extra time. But then immediately he had to tweak the tactics again, bringing on the likes of Moreno and then the rest. And it really worked to perfection. I mean, this is a team that has been building up since 2 years ago when they won the Nations League. And so it's not just any team. They've been building for a while. They wouldn't be having the big names like they used to have with the likes of Xavis and then the Iniestas. But then if you look at the young ones that are pulling through with the likes of Dani Olmo, who has been around for a while, it looks like there is a very good blend over here in the Spanish team. I mean, the likes of Carvajal will be leading the team. Unai Simon has been fantastic ever since he took over as the main goalkeeper for Spain. I mean, it is a well-blended team. There is a fine balance between experience and the youthful exuberance in that team. And for me, the football that they've been playing, the flank football has been working so well. Lamine Yamal and then Nicolas Williams have been great in this competition. I don't know, it feels like an audition for Nico Williams actually, because it looks like this summer there will be a lot of teams around him before the start of the new season.
And Arsenal fans are getting ahead of themselves. They believe they can get a man to join them next season.
I even saw a tweet from Piers Morgan saying that they should go for him, and so that tells you how much they want Nicolas Williams. But then the rumors also say that he might be joining Lamine Yamal at Barcelona. But then away from that, the football itself has been intricate, so good. I mean, Germany, the two best teams at the competition so far was Germany and then Spain. And Spain have proven to be the team that could go all the way to win this competition. At a point, you might think because there is so much young players in the team, there will be that point where they will crack. But from what we saw yesterday, it tells you that they are in for business.
Well, let's look at the other game of yesterday. You know, we saw France come up against Portugal in a game that was nerve-wracking. I'm not sure I wanted to be a Portuguese or a French fan in the stands yesterday because there were none of them wanted to give anything away up until the penalty shootout.
Apart from Colomwani.
And it looked and it looked very much like once we got into the dreaded penalty shootout, France looked very confident. I don't know why, but they looked like the team that could go through. Eddie, have we seen that France we saw a few years ago at the World Cup, lifting the World Cup, playing with flair, playing with panache? We saw swashbuckling football for France. But it's quite difficult watching France at this tournament.
Yes, and especially when they arrive in front of goal, you clearly see that they are quite out of sorts. And Deschamps has realized this very early on. He's realized that they are not as clinical as they used to be in front of goal because Mbappe has not been himself. The other candidates, Colomwani, Marcus Thuram, will not guarantee you a constant supply of goals. Giroud has no age on his side, and so it's a team that is struggling for goals. But I think that what Deschamps has done very well is to identify where his strength is and consolidate that part. And so you can see that the French are very resolute in defense. In the midfield areas, they defend well as a unit, and so it's difficult to break that rear guard of of the French. So I think for Deschamps, the tactic is to stay in games for as long as they can, and that's why you saw that they just wanted to push the game into penalties.
Eddie, let me push you. Let me push you a bit. 30 seconds. Spain, France. Who goes through to the finals?
Spain.
Lukman, Spain, France. Who goes through to the finals?
I mean, it's obvious. Spain. Because the way they are, well, so like I was saying, it's obvious that Spain could go through to the final because of the way they are playing. The only X factor in that French team is that there is N'Golo Kante, who is an energy reservoir. I mean, he's been, look, you just don't know where that guy is coming from and what he's been the difference maker for France, and to think that he plays in Saudi Arabia itself, it baffles me.
That's giving him some rest, I'm sure.
Yeah. So Spain will be missing some very key players. Carvajal, and Pedri. Yes, and Fabian.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we'll get into a bit of that in the next few days. But quick thoughts: Spain, France. Jonathan, 30 seconds.
I think I'll go in for a little bit of France with the Deschamps, because if you talk about France and then Spain at this moment, Spain are going to play without their experience right back in the person of Dani Carvajal. This tournament has been, a platform for Fabian Ruiz to actually tell us that Spanish midfielders also know how to shoot from afar. But as we speak, they are going to play in the semi-final game against France without Fabian Ruiz. We've seen Lamine Yamal playing so well. We've seen Nico Williams playing so well. But they are playing against an energy reservoir, just as Lukman said. Playing against N'Golo Kante yesterday, so far, the player that we've seen that Bayern Munich are all over, they are happy getting a signature in the person of João Pahinha from Fulham, the man of tackles that we call him. Yesterday, N'Golo Kante actually proved that playing far away in the Gulf region, Saudi Arabia doesn't mean that you don't know how to tackle. Yesterday, N'Golo Kante was all over the pitch for the French national team. And it was clear, because if you are playing against Portugal, and even France, they are not possessing the game, then you should tell that they were the people actually making the tackles and running after the ball. Running after the ball, talking about the people, just one person. Every football fan knows him. It was N'Golo Kante. So playing N'Golo Kante in the midfield of maybe getting Dani Olmo back, you bring Rodri, they are nowhere closer to the pedigree and level N'Golo Kante is exhibiting at the Euros.
Well, two quick games coming up tonight. England would come up against Switzerland. England have been absolutely underwhelming in the tournament so far. Switzerland, on the other hand, were able to eliminate the defending champions Italy from the competition. Eddie, can England finally come to the party against the Swiss?
I doubt. On the evidence of what we've seen, I think that England are a confused bunch. They are ponderous, very ponderous, and really you cannot tell what they are trying to do on that football pitch. Now, you suspect they want to play a possession-based brand of football, but then they don't have the creativity in depth to match that. And so they play a lot of their football in their own third. The transitions are slow. Attack is, for example, Saka looks a very pale shadow of himself. He's not impacting games as much as he did for Arsenal, and not only him, a number of the players, and they have gotten to this stage through individual brilliance and quality. And if you keep going on that tangent, really, you'll be found out in these knockout stages. So for me, I think that Switzerland ordinarily should not pose too much of a threat to England, but based on the circumstances, I think that Switzerland are in a very confident mood and really would fancy themselves against the Three Lions, who are really confused.
Well, what we're picking up from training, the Three Lions training grounds, is that Coach Gareth Southgate, who will be in charge of his 100th game for the Three Lions, is expected to deploy a 3-back system in this game, with Bukayo Saka playing as the left wing back and Kieran Trippier playing as the right wing back.
That's more confusing for you.
well, look, man, quick thoughts on that game, Switzerland versus England.
Well, I've never thought I would be living to see Bukayo Saka play as a left wing back. that tells you how confused the English team is. At the point they were saying that Alexander Trent-Arnold should be playing at right back. He should be playing in midfield. Kobe Manu should be starting. We all know how the English media works, and we've heard the players also respond in their own way. But then, the thing about this Swiss team is that they are tournament players. You look at Shaqiri. He loves playing at the tournament. You look at Rodriguez. He loves playing tournament. You look at Ruben Vargas. He likes playing tournaments. And they've had these players for a very long while. In as much as they've not been able to compete at the very top stage, but these are players that have played together for a very long while. And so the Switzerland team, and they are playing some very good football. I watched them against Germany, and they looked so well oiled in that match. Against Italy, they
ran Italy off the park.
I'm telling you, from the start to the end, and so they've been that good. I feel they are in a good position to actually beat this English squad. Like you said, with the English squad, it has always been a moment of brilliance from their key players. If Jude Bellingham pops up, he puts in something, and then that is it. But in terms of team play and then the overall play of England, they've not been convincing at all. They've not been good at all. Their first game against Serbia, they should have lost that game. They were lucky to pick a point to win that game. The second game, they were lucky they actually picked a point. And so they've not really been convincing, and I wouldn't be surprised if they lose that game. The only interesting thing I'm waiting to see is Kobe Manu versus Kojodria, the Ghanaian point.
Well, Murat Yakin has it all to do for the Swiss when they come up against the Three Lions of England. And they will be hoping to make it one better past their best ever performance in the Euros. The best performance has been the quarterfinals in 2020. The Swiss and the Red Cross of Switzerland will be hoping to go one better and progress to the semi-finals of this year's competition. There's been a lot of controversy as far as the Turkish team is concerned. Demiral, the man who got 2 goals for them against Austria, has been suspended by UEFA. He will be serving a 2-game ban for his Wolves salute. After that game against Austria, he celebrated with the Wolves salute, and so he's been punished by UEFA. Jude Bellingham, on the other hand, who held part of his groin, if I may put it that way, has been given a suspended sentence, a suspended ban for 12 months. Interesting ban out there.
They call the Jude Bellingham thing a croc grabbing incident, and then they call the Mary Demiral thing an ultra nationalist salute.
Absolutely.
And so this is a
Netherlands will come up against Turkey. 30 seconds, Eddie Akins. What should we expect from that game?
I think Turkey have what it takes to surprise the Dutch. The Dutch themselves have their own problems. They've not really controlled games in this tournament. They've not really come to the fore in large parts of the game. And Turkey have been quite good. They've been quite good, and they've played some very good games in this tournament. And it's a knockout game. If Turkey is able to master a very good 90-minute performance, you expect them to hit the Dutch, because the Dutch are not really controlling all aspects of the field. The defense sometimes switches off. They let in some chances. The attack is not exactly supplying a lot of goals. There are issues. The fact is, the Turks can capitalize on this. They have their quality as well to head the Dutch.
Well, Eddie Akins believes the Turks can cause an upset in this particular one. The Turks themselves made it to the semi-finals of the competition in 2008, and will be hoping to get to the same stage once again in this year's competition. I think this is all time with the last on today's edition of the Weekend Sport Rally here on Z101.9 FM. But Lukman, final words.
For footballing reasons, I think Turkey looks the top to win this game. But then from a national point of view, for the sake of Jeremy Frimpong, for the sake of Memphis Depay, the Netherlands, we want Dutch passports. Yeah, we want that to happen.
Well, final words, Jonathan. I know Jonathan would use almost a minute, but Jonathan, 20 seconds, final words.
I think my final words will be about the England versus Switzerland game. All we want to see the English team play is good football. They should exhibit the best players we've seen far away in Europe. They are not the same. They are not at the quality we see them with their clubs, and it is because of their coach. Even Coach Samuel Boyd will be a better coach far away with this team. So I don't see them qualifying ahead of Switzerland.
That's Sports Zlatan, Jonathan Binzua for you. Thank you very much for joining me on the show this afternoon. Lukman Evergreen Moving. Thank you very much. And once again, tell us when we can hear you on Z.
Yeah, every morning, Monday to Friday, 6:50 to 7 a.m.
And Jonathan?
And also every morning, actually, be part of the show. And also drive time, 5:15 to 5:30 every weekday from Monday to Friday. Yeah.
Eddie Akins, thank you very much for joining us.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
I would want to have you here more often.
Great. Always a pleasure.
And this has been the maiden edition of the Z Sports Weekend. Wow, that's been a long one. It's a Z Weekend Sports Rally right here on Z 101.9 FM. Thank you very much for joining us on the show. We'll be back next week with another interesting edition of your favorite sports preview, review, and discussion show right here in Ghana. Thank you very much. My name is Raymond Yamado. Until we meet again, God willing, next week.